Good afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm here with Devontae and Brother David.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna get me some food while Brother David introduces himself to you guys,
Okay.
and then once I'm finished getting food and he go gets food, I'll talk to you a little bit more about what we're gonna do here today. Um,
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Brother David. I'm a member at the Southside Vineyard and a close friend and brother to Devontae. We're both part of the pastoral leadership concord through the Vineyard Church. Um, we're both serving at the Southside Vineyard, hoping to lead the members there and possibly future members there to a closer relationship with Christ, as him and I both grow in Christ. And so it's good to be able to spend time with all of you today.
all right. So I've been working on my book. I the outline has to be have a meeting in April. I want to say 17th. I pushed it back again. Well, not even. I guess me being not sure,
Mhm.
but then I want to also do a little bit more research, talk to a few more people about their journey
Yeah.
with Christ, and today we're going to talk about fatherhood, Ephesians, and just our journey as men and where we're at. I think Ephesians is a good chapter as far as being a baby in Christ or a brother in Christ and trying to maneuver past what the world today has set out for us as people. I'm also a member at Southside Vineyard, and I've been a part of the Vineyard pastor cohort leadership for I think it's been a little bit over a year now.
Yeah.
A little bit over a
A
year.
little over a year. Yeah.
Um, so I will get. Do you want to go get some food?
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
Here's a plate. Oh, there might be 2 plates. I'm gonna pour me something to drink. It's hot. I get a little bit sweaty. Today we having some pizza. Um, and I got some garlic bread or garlic knots.
Garlic nuts. My daughter loves garlic
I think
nuts.
we got this from Sabatino.
Sabatino's.
I know one of the things I learned from being at the vineyard is when you conversate with people or you invite them to a function,
Mm-hmm.
you want to do it over food. Some food brings people together.
That's true.
If you want to, I feel like if I know when we have our pastor or our brothers in Christ meetings, we usually meet at Dunkin' Donuts and
Yep.
we'll have coffee or hot chocolate. But I think having food among people breaks the ice.
Yeah.
It gets people comfortable. And who doesn't like? Well, if you're inviting somebody over, or hopefully you're prepared or can prepare something.
Yep.
Who doesn't like food?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so when when I was thinking about fatherhood, and I wanted to talk to David about fatherhood, I did some research because me and him have been going through Ephesians,
Yeah.
and I wanted to see what Ephesians said about fatherhood, and Ephesians 6 came up. Do you have it? I was about to look for it.
Yep.
You want to read it?
Ephesians 6. Um, Ephesians chapter 6. The part that starts to address fathers is verse 4. And it says, "Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord."
For me, first off, my kids, they believe in it. Well, my oldest, I have 4 kids. Um, I'll be completely honest. Um, my life has been full of like sin. So this chapter in Ephesians speak to me because I'm trying to leave a road of sin and separate myself from that and follow the path of Jesus. So with that, I wanted to get my kids more involved in church or just fellowship or see if they believe in God. My oldest, he does not believe in religion, but he's not like to just write it right off. I'm sure he probably will come to it in his own time. He's had like all my kids. We had a rough couple years dealing with loss and grief. So they're all in different places in their life, and as a father, I'm trying to do the best I can to support that.
Yep.
My 2 10-year-olds, they believe in God, but they don't want to. They're not too hip about going to church. Sometimes it's okay. Some depending on what activity we're gonna do. I know
Yeah.
when we were going to the Westcott Vineyard, they liked the staff there and like going to church because they were gonna do activities, and that's something eventually that we're gonna have at the South Side.
Yeah.
I could see that, and I know pastors talked about it.
Yeah.
My baby, he's 3, so he doesn't really know what's going on, but
He enjoys himself.
there was a point when he was born and his birth mother, we had did a ceremony at the Westgard Vineyard for him to be like a member of the church, and that we were
Like a
raised
dedication.
yeah, dedication. Where are your kids? Oh, how many kids do you have, and where are they with following Jesus?
I have 3 beautiful children. I have a 19-year-old son, well, soon to be 19-year-old son, a 13-year-old daughter, and a just turned 10-year-old daughter. And they all know about, my position when it comes to serving the Lord and having a relationship with Christ. So they know where I stand on that. My son is right now, I'm very proud to say, very passionate about his relationship with Christ, and that makes me, as his father, very proud. He has a lot of questions, and I like to try to make sure I keep him grounded in the Scripture. My daughter recognizes the authority of God. She prefers not to go to church because right now at the Southside Vineyard we don't have anything for the youth yet.
Yeah.
So for her it's a little boring. My 10-year-old goes to the state fair site occasionally with her mother and her mother's husband, and that situation is a little more, I want to say, open because I think she has a child's like understanding about God and about Jesus, what Jesus has done for us. But I don't know if it's turned inward to a personal, desire to have a relationship with Jesus yet. And so that's a work in progress.
Will you read the verse for me one more time?
Sure. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord.
All right. So for me, I wasn't. I was raised by a single mother,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't have a active like father that was in the picture to raise me up as a man to follow God.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have a strong and present grandfather. Um, Shout out to Johnny Cannon. He's an amazing man. But also at the same time, he was an amazing man, and he talked about God. He still calls me today, and I can still call him for
That's
anything,
awesome.
any advice.
That's awesome.
And but my grandfather has always been a father figure for me, or my uncles, and but none of them follow Christ, really, except for my grandpa. But we also, at the same time, we had I could say it's a generational curse because we have a family that embarked on a simple life of just how you was raised and how you grew up. Like I'll start. My grandpa, he has a lot of children with different women. Then his first son has a lot of children with different women.
Mm.
But my mom, she wasn't the first daughter. She was his second daughter, but I was the first grandson.
Oh, okay.
So I had a lot of children with different women.
Okay.
So for me, it's important that I break that generational curse because I have three sons. So I know through each uh, each one of my children, I was a different part or phase in my life or where I was at. The only child that I had really came to Christ with, and it was because given the situation when he was born, where I was at in my life, and I'm just getting older. This is only 3 years ago. He's the only child that only of one of my children that have had a dedication. Have I want to get him baptized. He'll probably be the first one to get baptized, but just different places in life.
Yeah.
For him, I was a follower. I became a Christian, and I was a follower of Jesus. For all my other three children, I was still in sin. So for it's really important to break these generational curses and see now that my sons are like getting older and see me in a responsible place, especially when it comes to women,
Yeah.
so they don't go down the same road of having different women, being misogynistic, replacing worshiping God with women worshiping you,
Yes.
making yourself a false idol, I guess.
Yeah.
You're a black man in this world, so I pretty much know you can understand that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's kind of a narrative, I guess, that maybe from hindsight, now that I think about it, it might be a man growing up with a single mother thing.
Could be.
It could
Could be.
be because if you have a strong single mother and she's there for you, or she's raising you, or just being around a woman, having that woman presence your whole life, whether it's negative or bad.
Yep.
When you get older, you might look at women as either an enemy or somebody that should worship you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what about you in that area?
That makes a lot of sense.
As far as stewarding your kids to follow Christ.
It's unfortunately, um, my my I didn't live out my witness effectively before my children, until a few years ago now. I'm glad that my son is not making the same mistakes that I was making at his age. All of my children are out of wedlock,
Yeah.
so it doesn't necessarily mean it ends up being a bad thing. but it does give place to the devil to possibly touch your family in a way that typically wouldn't touch if it was protected under the umbrella of marriage, if that makes any sense.
I guess so.
And so, um, even though in the prospective relationships that I was in, I tried to live a good life before them, being respectful to their mother, being hardworking, you know, um, there's something about the presence of the father in the home that makes a huge difference on a child's life. And with me not having my father in my life at all, and then, living with a foster family when I was young and him being alcoholic and abusive, it certainly created the formula for me to be a bad father. And, at a young age, which is amazing because I didn't know I was doing this at the time, I had a picture of my foster dad, and it was a picture of him, kind of dressed up or whatever. And I said to him in the photo, I said, I'll never be like you, you know? And so I believe God recognized that and heard that. And because I said it in faith, but I didn't know I was saying it in faith, um, he brought it to pass. And so um, my children know that I love them. And that's what's important to me, that they know that they're loved and that their father loves the Lord.
So this is a tough question because we're also girl dads,
Yes.
and we live
Two girls.
like a life of sin. I can recall back before I came to Christ, before I got married, first time, and I was just running rampant around the town with women. And I have my daughter, but one of the things women would say to me, um, what are you gonna do if a man treats your daughter like that one day? Or what if your daughter is attracted to the kind of women that you're going for,
Right.
or things like that? I mean, I've been in some mess, like situations with whether it was hanging out with hookers, hanging out with women that were very colorful with what kind of relationships they liked. Whether it was hanging out with women that were junkies or just, I've been in situations to see all different scenarios and or kind
Yeah.
of women
Yeah.
that you could possibly be around.
Yeah.
And for me, since I came to Christ, I always, whenever I get a question or I think about something where it has to do with men and women, I always go back to Genesis and how,
The very beginning.
yeah, whatever she endures, whatever she encounters, my daughter, or I'm supposed to protect her. I'm supposed to be there for her. I'm supposed to be able to help guide her. Before I didn't know. Well, I kind of knew these things, but I was just selfish. I was selfish still, being a boy, chasing women.
Mhm.
But I guess I got to a certain point where I had to grow up, and I see things that my daughter is dealing with now, and it breaks my heart. So I want to be able to be the best father and learn these different things for her that I can,
Yeah.
and help bring her closer to Jesus. Because whenever she's going through something or she's feeling something, I always ask her a question, but I put Jesus in there, and she may look at me, give me like a look, like, man, what are you talking about? But at the same time, I know she's listening because she'll send me like a song or something that she's heard on YouTube, but it has Jesus in it and
Yeah.
talk something talking about healing. So and these are things that she's doing on her own.
On her own.
So
That's awesome.
well, that's a proud moment for me that I'm
Yeah.
doing something
The
a
seed is
little bit
planted.
right.
Mhm.
And maybe in the future I won't have to worry so much because it, like you gotta, as a man, you gotta start. I had to start thinking I can hindsight now. I can put myself in those situations where I might have been hanging out with a female and she might have been on drugs or something. But what's her story? What's behind that? Why is she here doing these drugs? Why does she feel this way?
Yeah.
Um, and that's something I guess I have to bring to my own children now. If you can understand. So it don't get to that point one day
Yeah.
of my daughter feeling so alone that she doesn't have a father or a man that she can confide in or talk to, or even if, or Jesus, to the because something could happen in her life to where she's not just running from me, she's running from Jesus because something I did or something somebody else did.
Yeah.
That's a long drawn out answer about being a father to
No.
a daughter, but
It's informative.
it can be heartbreaking because the world is wicked
Yeah.
and the internet and so many different uh, false idols that are put like on a high pedestal for kids to see.
Yeah.
Um, but one thing I could say that we also have in common, she's really into anime, so like if she's up and can't sleep, she's sending me anime stuff, and I think that's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
But it's all three of my older kids can connect somehow on that because they all watch
Okay. That's awesome. I do too. Well,
anime.
my son and I do too. Raising girls. um, well, my daughters haven't really seen me with a lot of women. I mean, they've seen me with different girlfriends. Um, when I was doing my real dirt, I guess you could say, uh, the the more muddier dirt, I guess you could say, they were never around. I tried to be very careful about, parading that in front of my kids and stuff. But still, when I was in relationships, I wasn't behaving in a way that a godly man's supposed to behave, and that's just a fact. And so you form these yokes, as the Bible calls them, and even if you were in a relationship hoping to aspire towards marriage, if you're unevenly yoked, it ain't gonna work. That's just a matter of fact. It's not gonna work. Even if you do get married, you'll end up parting ways eventually. Um, so I'm thankful for the fact that you know I've only been married for going on 2 years now. So, and my children respect and care for my wife. That's a blessing to me. Um, what I can say is that one of the things I realized in having daughters is that our us as fathers, our words are much heavier than any other person's words in their lives. And my wife said something to me one time um, about disciplining the girls, and I said to her, because it took time for me to get to this point. I just wasn't like this, but it took time for me to get to this point. I said, I understand what you're saying. I said, but I have to be careful because I don't want to say something that will crush their spirit.
Yeah.
Because if anybody can, we can. And so I'm very mindful of what I say and how I say it because of the
Yeah.
fact that here it is. I may be the only man in her life that she truly feels like she can trust and love, and I just tore her down.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Even if I wasn't really trying to do that, but if I'm not mindful of what I say, the enemy might take the opportunity for me to speak something into her or to her that ends up crushing her. And then she's not even seeking after the Lord, which is what you and I both want. She might end up looking for love or acceptance and compassion out in the world, which we already know is going to use them, chew them up, and spit them out. We already know that.
Yeah.
because if it's going to do it to us, you already know they're going to do it to them. So when you talk about protecting them, it resonates with me because it's like, listen, I'm not really fighter. I'm not really trying to fight like that, but I will go to war over my girls, though. I will. I'm not even gonna lie about it. My son's man enough to take care of himself, but I'll have his back. But if somebody tells me they did something to my girls,
You're gonna
it's
lose
all
it.
out.
You can't.
It's all out war,
Yeah.
And so I know that might sound worldly,
No,
but
no, I know. It's understandable. It's
yeah,
the emotion you can't really control it. It's your daughter.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
get it.
yeah. So trust me, I understand where you come from when you say you want to protect them, because that's what we want to.
So for me, I also have 3 boys,
Hmm.
and I'll start with my oldest because he he's 18, so he's kind of seen me in each phase of my life and getting better. And now um we don't have a rocky relationship or anything, but I don't know. I feel like ma- and I guess I would have to see other people's opinions, but I feel like with your kids because they're changing and you might be changing. It's like you got to rebuild on different like type of relationships because like now he's an adult. So how do I now that he's graduated high school
Yes.
and he's seen me make mistakes, he's seen me get up, fall down, get up, fall down over and over and over again and not understand why, but through me getting better and us having conversations like adults and him really see me like turn over a new leaf. And I think even him seeing the relationship with his littlest brother, Bonnie, how I am with him, I think it's brought us a lot closer together. But it's just because he's seen me with the different women. He's seen me um, high. He's seen me tweaked out. He's seen this stuff, and I wasn't able to protect him from seeing it because I wasn't in the right mind. But I was able to hopefully reach him by the time he was old enough to understand I'm sorry. I made mistakes. This happens with men. This happens with adults. And I was able to explain certain things because even he's gotten me and him never had a confrontation,
Right.
but I know he's had confrontations with his mother, and I had to explain to him, like you can't talk back to your mom. She sacrificed because she was a single mom and I had a single mom, so I know how much being a single mom you have to. If a child's with you full time, even though a father can be there, but a child's with you full time, you have to sacrifice.
Yes.
You're sacrificing.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
but we been able to build on this relationship. He's not very. He's kind of quiet like me. Um, out of all my kids, I can say he's the most similar to like me as far as emotions, attitudes. We keep stuff in. Like I've never seen him cry until his stepmother's funeral. That was like the first time I ever really seen him cry. And then when we told him about his grandma. So, but we're steady building and talking. Sometimes I worry where he's at because he's a good kid. He goes to work and goes home, but he's just so quiet like me. And I remember times when I was crying, um, but he doesn't seem like he has too much he has to say. And then my 10-year-old son Avery, he has autism, and he's seen me a little. He's seen part. of my addiction, and he wasn't. Um, I could get really emotional when I talk about my boys because they seem like my troubles the worst, whether it was with bad relationships, toxic relationships that I was in, or I can tell you a story about Avery. I remember um, I had this horrible party weekend of nothing but partying, and yeah, I was supposed to. It's like there's been other times too, but it's like I was all every time I would get Avery, it was either right before I had did something I wasn't supposed to, or right when I was coming off of something I had did when I was supposed to. This one time I had been probably up for like 3, 4 days partying with different females. Had females in my apartment at the time. I had this hooker staying with me in my apartment at the time. In my mind, because in my this is my apartment. I'm paying the bills, and this lady, whether she's here, she's she's paying my bills, and I don't have to do nothing. But that's just a kid mentality. There's no way your apartment should be a trap house, and you should have women in there selling whatever they're selling, and then have your sons around that. That's not okay. Like my sons would be there or come there. My daughter, now I would go see her, but I wouldn't have her come there for that, or because in my mind I thought it was okay because they're boys. No, it wasn't okay at all. So but this one time I think I was gonna try and take a nap before I got him, or he was at the girl's house I was dealing with or something, and they were coming to pick me up. I passed out on the floor. I, pl- I, I woke up and I was in my bed and I had to call this girl. I didn't know where my son was. Luckily, she had took him. That's right. She had came to pick me up and I had just brought my son out to her truck. And I went back in the house to get something. I fell down and never had got back up. She came in and put me in my bed, and she said the girl that was there, was yelling, saying he must have overdosed or something. But I guess I don't know. I'm too tired. I don't know really what it was. I know I woke up. That was another time God has saved me uh, from my own destruction, I guess. So
That's powerful.
yeah, and it's signs like that I've been getting for the last 12 years, 10 years before I decided to come to Christ, of Him saving me when I'm on that last ounce of my life, and Him reaching out and saving me. It wasn't to the last time where He said, if you actually do this, you're going to die. Wow. I couldn't turn my life around. But, and then Bonnie, for him, um, he's been fighting to be normal since the day he's been born. So it's really, and I think me, I knew before he was born he might have a hard life. I didn't know once he was born everything that was going to escalate after, but I knew once he was born it was gonna, he was probably gonna, things would be a little difficult just because he was in ICU for the first couple of days trying to get his birth mother's medicine out of his system. Because she would take medicine for epilepsy, and then her family has a history of it. So I knew it was a possibility he might have to deal with that too.
Okay.
But that was before she passed away from that.
Yeah.
So now that we're taking tests, and he's he's a little different than other children, special education, or whether he has to take seizure medicine. It was something I knew I had to do something, because like even like right before he was born, I still had him. I don't. Right before he was born, I still had in my mind that I could I could still I could have one foot in the streets and work and try to take care of my family and do all this stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Like, like what are you doing, man? You old. God done gave you so many opportunities to live and be better, and you just keep thumbing them over nothing, absolutely nothing that matters at all. So, and I can remember him and his mom, because I had put her in a bad situation at the time with me out trying to sell drugs and uh, doing drugs at the same time, and she just couldn't deal with it, and she left. But during that time when she left, that's when God came to me and told me if I was ever to do this again, I was gonna die. And then so I stopped, and it's been 3 years since it was like
Amen.
it was like I never felt it. It just so. But even after that moment, I knew I was like, this he needs me. Like my kids, he needs me. My kids need me, but out of all my kids, he needs me the most because something's gonna like I thought I was gonna lose him. So my life steady changed, and then a year later, that's when I came back to Christ, or I came to Christ. So um, and ever since I came to Christ, the journey with me and the journey with me and my kids has been getting stronger, slowly but surely, and I've been becoming more aware because even with my 10-year-old Avery, he has autism, and I wasn't always the most patient with him as I should have been, or understood why he might have been whining or upset.
Right.
But I don't know. Once I came to Christ, it was like uh, even the things I didn't have answers for, it was okay. I mean, the answers would come, but when it came to my like kids, more patience,
Yeah.
able to talk things out and figure them out, and it's like every day I just keep learning how to try to be a better father, be more understanding, and like I have awesome, like cool kids. Like my kids are awesome. I don't have. I mean, even if they're bad or there's a problem, there's a reason for that, and I'm part of that reason. So
Okay.
I have to check. So it's what that's what I mean by I could I could go to Genesis 1 or back to Genesis
Yeah.
for whether it's a woman or it's my kids.
Or your
It's
kids.
gonna everything starts with the man.
It does.
Everything,
Everything.
no matter what it is.
People don't like to accept that.
Yeah, it starts with the man
But it does.
and who you are, what you're giving out. It says that.
Mm-hmm.
So what about you and Cairo's relationship? I kind of sorry.
No, it's perfectly fine. Like you, my son is a lot like me too. Um, we're passionate about what we're passionate about, um, but we have a tendency to kind of keep to ourselves. We like to make people laugh and smile, and we enjoy it when we're able to help somebody else. Um, I look at Cairo and I'm just sometimes I just smile because it's brother Tvante. I'm gonna share them. Well, I guess I'm sharing it with y'all too. Um, I attempted to take my life, and at the time, Cairo was the only child I had. He was very very young. His mom, of course, is in his life. His grandmother, his grandfather and stuff. So when I was making the decision, I was like, well, if I'm gone, he still has people that love him. He's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
That's how I was looking at it.
Yep.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I thank God for Kyler. He saved my life, man. He did, and the Lord saved me. But sometimes he uses our children as a means of reminding us of just how much he loves us.
Won't he do it?
And Cairo and I have always been very, very close. His mother absolutely adores him. He's very super close with his mom. And Cairo and I have that connection where we'll be watching something and we laugh at the same time. Or we'll hear something and we look at each other and we just burst out laughing and stuff. So we just have that real connection. He's starting to have that hunger for the word like I did when I was his age. And I love that. So I'm gonna nurture that. I'm gonna encourage that. And I'm glad that God is allowing me to see that, because he could have been like, oh, I'm gonna talk to this person and not my dad. But the fact that he's talking to me, it really touches my heart, because he's you know I spoke over my children when they were young. You know what I mean? I just spoke, good things over them when they were still, in carriers. And I believe God honors your faith. I do. I really do. And Cairo is going to do something that I never did. He's in college right now. I was in college and I got out. I went to the military. Got basically kicked out.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. So
Same thing.
so he's gonna be the one who does something that the rushing boys haven't done yet.
Yeah.
Rushing men. He's going to graduate from college. I graduated from high school, but it kind of stopped there. He has pushed through, even though he didn't really know what his major was going to be, even though he was undeclared and all this kind of stuff. He's pushing through. And the fact that he's more serious about Christ in his college years is such a blessing, because of the fact that you and I both know, you go away to school, you're not really under your parents' umbrella anymore. You're kind of independent. You can kind of do your own thing. That's when the devil wants to just grab you and use you to the fullest extent. And so I thank God that he's protecting him and keeping him in him. I'm going to try to stay as faithful as I possibly can to make sure I see him grow into the man that God is calling him to be. Not that what I want him to be, but what God is calling him to be.
See, and I would love for Taj and Cairo to talk more, because David's son goes to college, but my son works at a college. He didn't want to. I mean, I understand if he doesn't want to go to school, but I'm proud that he at least decided to do something on his own. There's too many. But at the same time, also, I feel like our kids grew up with good mothers, not like in a straight poverty. Well, my son's early years were in the city, and they moved out to like Ballsville. But he will never. He saw it and like been to like a relative's house that's not in such good areas, or so, and the internet, you can see whatever online anyway today. So but that struggle of being in the hood, have to defend yourself and all that, he doesn't know that, and he'll never have to know that, and that's a blessing that his mom was able to do. So but at the same time, he's quiet, so you never know. But I'm not worried. He's smart. Good kid. Good head on his shoulders. And he gets up and go to work every day. I'm a adult man who works at a warehouse, and I don't see adults like
saying work ethic is
it's
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
I did have a question. for me, um, I think I can relate to my child saving me. All four of them have saved me. You know, everything I do now in my life, where I'm at and trying to go, is so I can build a legacy
Yes.
for my children.
Yes.
And I wish and I hope that they will all come to Jesus and try and follow in my path. But for everyone, it's a different journey. I could say I'm not really worried about it too much now because I have good kids. But and it took me so long to come back to Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been going to church all my life,
Yeah.
like a kid. My grandma would take me,
Yeah.
but um, everybody's journey is different. I'm just blessed that I have good kids, and I don't know. Sometimes I could get emotional just thinking about them.
Yeah.
Um, because childbirth, I don't understand. I want to talk to men for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Take responsibility.
Yes.
If you lay down with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
you feed her your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of your kid, bro. What is more beautiful than seeing something that you created, that you helped create, that looks like you, they're gonna smile like you, they'll have some of your, like, what is more beautiful than putting something that you created in the world and they will follow you.
Yeah.
And not only is that, seeing what you, they will love you
They will love you.
unconditionally.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you don't have to try to impress them. You don't have to buy them a whole bunch of stuff. You don't have to, all you got to do is love them, take care of them, because that's your responsibility.
Yes, it is.
And they will love you
Mm-hmm.
forever, unconditionally,
Yeah.
just like Jesus.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of like the whole point? Jesus loved talking to children.
He did. Yep. Yeah. You were. You could have kept going, man. You really could have. Yeah. You could have kept going. It's. I think, unfortunately, fellow fathers out there that might be watching this, or men who want to be fathers. I think for a very long time, men were being, still to this day, men were being beat on for not being present, for making children and not taking care of them, for sleeping around, for not making enough money, not having a fancy car, not having the best job, not having the biggest house, not having the best jewelry, whatever the case may be. And I want y'all to understand something is that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So it's not Devontae versus me, but it's a spiritual battle. Guys, whether you want to believe it or not, it's a spiritual battle. And where the spiritual battle takes place is in your mind. So if society is telling you, and I'm saying society is right because they're not right, if society is telling you that you're not good enough, you're not this, you can't do that, you're this, you're worthless, you're that, you're that, you're that. Do you really think that's coming from God? No, it's not. That's a lie. It is a lie. You were born to lead. You were created to lead. You were created to reflect the glory of God. You were created to be a protector. You were created to be a provider. You were created to be a person who loves. That's what you were created to do. And what capacity can you do that the most? As a husband and as a father. That's your very